Nation of Fitin10, welcome to day 9 of the challenge. And I am at my mom's place, so a little bit different setting, as you can see. And I'm going to answer some of your feedback here. So let's get into it. So some of these I've read, and some of them I have not. So first one here that I'm going to get into. I am nowhere near my prescribed calorie intake, and I've been good about eating whole foods and eating protein every meal, but I find I am full even after half the prescribed macros. Even to get to half, I am forcing myself to eat. Do I really need to eat more? So first thing I'd say here is just eat what you can. Don't obviously force it. You will find that you will get hungrier as time goes on. So right now you're probably just full because you have the increased protein intake. So that's probably making you full. The other aspect of this is just the eating of real whole foods, right? These foods tend to be more voluminous, less calorie dense. But soon enough, the lack of calories are going to catch up. So you don't feel perhaps you don't feel the lack of calories, you don't feel it catching up to you yet. But it's going to, it will catch up to you. So I guarantee you will start to need more of those macros as time goes on. Is it counterproductive to do cardio after resistance-based workout? Well, it depends on what you're trying to achieve. For the sake of this program, no, it's not counterproductive. If you are somebody who's trying to, let's say, maximize hypertrophy or maybe maximize strength, it might be a bit counterproductive. But for the sake of this, no, it's not counterproductive. How do I send you my Fitness intake? Just simply send me snapshots of your macros that you have for the day and then all of your food entries. So what I'll do in particular for you, this person who wrote me these questions, is I will send you an example of this. Okay, so I'll send you a private message in Slack. I did post in the general channel in Slack, I did post exactly what I want you guys to send me. So you can always have a look there, but I will send you exactly what to send out, or what to send me, excuse me. All right. This person writes, this is under name something you can improve, name something specific you can improve on for the following week. My cardio my card can't speak. I guess it's just because later in the day and maybe I'm tired, I'm not sure. My cardio this past week has been bike rides. I have not been monitoring my heart rate as I've misplaced my fitness watch. Also, severe migraine throughout the week meant limited balance. Okay. Okay, well, maybe considering your severe migraines, you maybe want to stay away from stuff that's going to increase your blood pressure a lot. Interval training is going to do that. So just be careful with this. If I remember correctly, this person has had migraines in the past. This person's done the challenge before. So be interested to know what's causing your migraines. But yeah, just do your best with the cardio. As I mentioned, you may want to stay away from any more of the, at least during periods of migraines, you may want to stay away from high intensity exercise. Name something specific you need help with. Eating as a social thing. Yesterday in particular, I was with several people going through very rough life experiences. All we wanted was to eat and drink for comfort, so we did. I'm not going to avoid people or real emotions. So what's an alternative to emotional eating, particularly when supporting others? Well, I mean, this is just boils down to choice. So what you choose to do, and this is obviously not up to me. If you are wanting to interact and support one another, I think that can be done without food or, in particular, alcohol. Not that you did drink alcohol, it doesn't say specifically alcohol, but I'm assuming maybe that's what you meant by drinking. ultimately what you're going to get from this, if you're seeking comfort in these things, is you're going to get very temporary relief. So this is not going to fix anything in the long run. In fact, it's probably just going to make you feel worse. Not in the moment, but there afterwards, it's going to make you feel worse. So you're sort of trading in now, immediate, for later, and later produces a worse outcome because you're probably, my guess, you're probably not going to feel well for doing that, especially if you're working towards something like this. So being there for one another is one thing. How you choose to deal with the emotional aspect of it, how you deal to, what you use to comfort you. My suggestion would be trying to do it without doing things that are going to, in this case, hinder your results, but maybe even hinder your health, hinder your train of thought in the moments. If you're having something like an intoxicating substance like alcohol. So you want to be careful with this. Again, this is choice. Maybe a little bit harder in a setting where you're around a bunch of people who maybe don't care about that. But definitely at the very least, I would say stay away from the drinking. And in your case, it's okay to eat, but I wouldn't be eating for just as an emotional crutch. Okay, ultimately this is what we want to stay away from, and generally in life, because this is not going to help us. This is only, like I said, we're just trading in now for having to deal with the repercussions later. So we need to find a different kind of crutch. Okay, next question. Is there anything you'd like me to cover in this week's video series? For those of us with very limited balance or strength, what typically do you suggest for cardiovascular training? Right now, I kind of fear hurting myself, and I've avoided jumping rope, which was my original plan. So I am inclined to go to the pools again. Yeah, it's going to be harder for you to raise your heart rate in a pool environment. One, because pools are generally cool, and that's going to keep your heart rate down. To the buoyancy aspect of swimming, it just makes exercise easier, just because the water is essentially holding you up. So my suggestion would be the easiest aspect to this, especially if it's balanced, would be something like a stationary bike. So it may be worth investing in a stationary bike. I have one for sale, by the way. But the one that I'm selling is not a spin bike. You probably want a spin bike. So that's what I would do. I'd probably spend, if you can find a good used one for maybe $200-300, that would be a great way to go. Or if you have access to any sort of gym setting or something like that that's got, cardio equipment, bikes, take advantage of that. I say spin bikes in particular because you've got the setting where you can dramatically increase or decrease the resistance on demand. So that's going to be much, much better for your interval training. All right, 8:43. Additional comments or questions? Okay, I'll talk about this next one here in tomorrow's video. So let's get the message of the day. Message of the day on this day 9. It's a reminder to you that this is a process. This whole thing is a process, which means that sometimes you may do things that you feel are counterproductive. For example, maybe in your mind you think you ought to be eating less. And this is a common complaint that I usually get in the beginning. But it's a reminder that you're going to be doing things in this challenge that ultimately allow us to be able to continue with the big picture. And so in your mind, you may not think that it's dramatic enough, or maybe not enough of a calorie deficit, or maybe not enough exercise. But we want to think about things that are going to keep us going for the long term, right? This is a long-term process. This is as I just said, this is a process. So it's not about necessarily maximizing everything in the beginning, okay, or at any point for that matter, right? Because certainly we could do more exercise, certainly we could eat less calories, but where is that going to leave us? And what kind of repercussions is that going to have in terms of being able to continue? What kind of repercussions is that going to have metabolically speaking? What kind of repercussions is that going to have on our nervous system? There's all kinds of reasons, right? So this is actually a good topic to talk about tomorrow, but just remember this whole thing is a process, and we don't want to look at it as each individual day, although you do in some senses want to look at it like that, like in terms of just taking it day by day. But ultimately, we have to look at this as an overall picture, right? So I'm going to leave it there. Positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself, for love of God, give some gratitude, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.